Hello and welcome to the Organic Beehive. I realize it's been a little while since I've been on here. It's just been a little bit of a busy season, but I am back today to share with you just a few, fertility updates. I already feel like this video I'm gonna ramble and I'm gonna need to edit a lot, and there's just so much to this conversation that it's hard without having a conversation with somebody and having a back and forth. It's really hard to get out everything that is on my heart. In our own health journey, we're all going through it differently, making different choices, and gosh, by me sharing my story and what I've decided to do, I don't want it to make you feel like I am judging you if you are on a different path. We all have different lifestyles, financial situations that may or may not, affect the decisions that we make based on our health. Overall, my approach is a holistic approach. And if I do end up having to see a doctor, say for fertility or whatever reason, I do try to find doctors that align with my vision for that. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, I feel like, I have had a good kind of like bird's eye view of how the medical industry has sort of changed throughout the years. And again, this is like a really hard topic for me to talk about, and I don't want to talk down on anybody in the medical industry. I know doctors work hard, I know nurses work hard, and I'm not trying to take away that from them. It takes a special person to be in those jobs, and I completely understand that. But I feel like the medical industry, when it comes to caring for somebody, it's turned more into like, well, let's just suppress those symptoms with a medication. And then like when a side effect arises from that medication, then they give you another medication to suppress that symptom, and it's just this like snowball effect. And then you realize you're taking numerous medications and you're still not feeling like yourself. Now, there is a time and a place for those things. I believe that. I've had friends who who do share that same vision as I do and want to do as much as they can themselves to support their bodies and, whatever health issue they are dealing with. But, sometimes there does come a point where you do need that medical intervention, and that one medication might make a world of a difference. I'm not here to judge. I guess like the best way to put it is I want to try and tackle it myself, do my own research, understand what is going on, try my best to eat better, try various things, exercise, whatever it is, to see if that makes an improvement first. And if there are still issues, testing can be done to help you get a better picture of what's going on. With all that said, I don't know, I feel like when you're on social media, and I'm sorry, the sun keeps coming in and out, so I feel like I'm really bright and overexposed, and then it kind of goes away, so bear with me. I feel like I need to put disclaimers on pretty much all my videos, no matter what I do, because when we watch videos, we make these assumptions, whether those assumptions are true or not. You know, we don't know, but that's why I feel like I should share these disclaimers. You know, I try for a holistic approach, and if I need an intervention through the medical industry, then I am happy to do so. I think there just needs to be a balance. I don't know, maybe through social media there's been a lot of like division. You're either this or this, and I think we can have a happy marriage of both. And so that's kind of like where I'm coming from through what I am about to share. So my fertility journey, it's been a long one, I feel. It's about 10 years ago, I got pregnant with my first child. We actually weren't planning it. So it came as a surprise, but quickly we warmed up to the idea. We were so excited. And you know, as you go along through the weeks of pregnancy, obviously you start planning more, you start to purchase things. And I remember we were to the point where, you know, we had bought a onesie or something while we were out and about. And a week later, at 11 and a half weeks, I miscarried. Later on, a couple months later, I wanted to try again. We went full term with that pregnancy, and I gratefully have my daughter here with me today. I did struggle with some postpartum depression and anxiety for a while, and that's not, I mean, I guess it's important for the story in that that's why I waited so long to have another child. I was convinced I wasn't going to have any more children. But some years later, I finally, maybe because she was more independent, and I'm not really sure, things happened within the family where I was like, I would really like my daughter to have a sibling. So I started talking to my husband about it. He was not keen on the idea right away. It probably took a year till he was like, yes, I am on board. Let's do this again. So in January 2021, we decided to start trying again. And in June 2021, found out we were pregnant. I had a positive pregnancy test. It turned out to be a chemical pregnancy, so it was like 5 weeks, or I don't really remember how long, but it ended shortly thereafter, that positive pregnancy test. And then I didn't get pregnant for the rest of the year. We were dealing with illness. I had COVID at one point, and that messed with my period, which made me really nervous because, you know, when you're trying, you don't want your period to be all off and your schedule to be off. You're wondering what's going on, which apparently it can affect your period. Upon researching, I found that out, and it took a couple months before I was back to my regular cycle. So fast forward to 2022, in March, we got another positive pregnancy test that was a little longer than that one in 2021, but not much. I think at 6 weeks, I had lost it. Then in August, I believe August 2022, I found out I was pregnant again. It was kind of like, well, let's just wait a week or two and see what happens, because the 2 pregnancies before that ended so soon. So I ended up going past the 5-week, the 6-week, the 7-week mark, all these things. And so I started getting excited. You know, let's start looking, or let's start scheduling an appointment with our midwife. Let's think about how we're going to tell our daughter. Let's think about how we're going to tell our family. It was just like such an exciting time. At 10 weeks, we told everybody. And at 12 weeks, I miscarried again. And that was really hard because this time I involved my daughter. And it's so much harder to deal with loss with a child involved, you know, than it were, you know, obviously just me and my husband. So, you know, moving forward, I can't say what I'm going to do because I'm not there yet. But, you know, what happened back in August, miscarrying at 12 weeks and my daughter knowing I was pregnant, you know, it changes things. You tend to walk on eggshells a little more, and even though kids are resilient, she did fine. She probably did better than me or my husband did, maybe because, you know, the baby wasn't like a tangible thing, or you really couldn't see much of it on me and my body at the time. I don't know, but she did well. But again, I don't know what I'll do moving forward. That was very long-winded, but just all that to say, obviously I had been dealing with recurrent miscarriages, and I'm in my late 30s, and you know, it took me a while to process what had happened, and then like, what does this mean for our family? Do we keep trying? Do we stop trying? I don't know. So after a couple weeks of just, you know, sitting on the latest miscarriage and trying to process it all, I felt like I was starting to be able to think rationally about the situation. And I thought, you know what? If we keep trying with our daughter, I don't think that's fair for all of us to be going through an emotional roller coaster. So I would like to get things figured out for her sake, for our sake, really. And two, you know, you don't want to put yourself in danger. You know, if I'm not able to carry a baby full term for a reason, like, I do want to know that. And three, you know, let's say I decide, you know what, it's not worth it. We need to stop trying. You know, in 10 years, am I going to regret that decision, stopping and not really having a definitive answer as to whether I could still carry or not? Of course, there were so many other things floating on and around in my head, and it's still hard to sort all those things out. So I'm not sure if I am like, I don't know if I'm explaining things well enough or not. So we made the decision to go ahead and figure things out. I saw an OB/GYN that my midwife had recommended. And I went in, told her my story, and she was just like, I don't really know, you know, what happened. I will refer you to a fertility specialist. And I believe all that she saw was like the blood tests I took, just routine blood tests I had taken while I was pregnant. I had checked like my thyroid levels because that was something I was always curious about. And like my body had created any antibodies because I am my blood type is A negative and my husband is O positive, and I know that there's an issue sometimes with those blood types coming together. My body can see it as a foreign object and fight it off and all these things. So that was tested too, and I had not created any antibodies. So the things on the surface that we thought could be an issue were not an issue. So she referred me to a fertility specialist. I had talked to the fertility specialist. We had a consultation, and she just recommended that I get some just routine fertility testing done. So I had quite a bit of blood work done, like genetic, hormonal sort of stuff done. And I also got the HSG test, and I will put a link for that video down in the description below. It's just my personal experience with the HSG test. So I got all the routine testing done, and I guess I need to rewind and say that my intention for doing the fertility testing was basically to see if we could get an answer. I wasn't necessarily going to go down the route of all these fertility treatments. I'm older, I've got my daughter here with me, and I just didn't know if I was at that point in my life where I wanted to go down that path. So this was just for answers. And so I did all the basic testing, and gosh, I know this stuff is really personal and I don't have to share this, but at the same hand is fertility, unfortunately, is a big, or infertility is a big issue in today's society. So I guess my hope is if I share this, maybe you can relate, maybe it helps you know that you're not alone, or maybe it'll help you, figure out what you want in your journey as well. I don't know, but I just feel called to share my story. So I just wanted to put that out there. There were two things that they found out through the testing. One of them was not necessarily like, this is what causes your miscarriages. It was more, this could make it harder to get pregnant. One of the hormone levels they checked, I don't even remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up. But it had to do, like, it correlated with my egg reserves. And the hormone level was like super low, meaning that would mean my egg reserve was really low. I mean, it was like, I don't know, I think it matched a woman in her mid to late 40s, which is kind of scary when you think about it. Like, I already knew, being in your upper 30s, I was going to be a health risk for having another baby. I knew that off the bat, but that little piece of news, it defeated me a little bit. But at the same hand is I've been able to get pregnant multiple times in the past couple years. So I really, I still had that hope that I know what I'm doing, and I can continue to try to get pregnant with the tools that I know. And I also did a video on 5 tips for getting pregnant that I will link in the description below. And let me tell you, it worked for me, even with my low egg reserves. But that aside, obviously I still have eggs. I can still get pregnant. And also to mention with that hormone that showed up really low, she said, and I asked her, what would the reason for that be? Because I've had grandparents have children in their late 30s, in their early 40s. I don't know of anybody in my family who went through early menopause or anything like that. And she had mentioned that it could be due to an autoimmune issue. But again, I got tested, you know, for all of that, and nothing showed up. So that's kind of like a big question mark, if you will. The next thing that showed up was in the HSG test, when they take a picture of your uterus, it was a little misshapen. So at our consultation following those tests, she had showed me the picture, and on one side there was just like this the slightest dip, and she is not 100% sure what it was. She cannot be 100% sure unless she took more pictures and video of my uterus, But what she had said was based on the characteristics of what was seen from the HSG test was that it looked like a uterine fibroid. It could be scar tissue, but again, those things both have very distinct characteristics, and so it favored more that it was a uterine fibroid over scar tissue. And my next step for that could be for me to again get more pictures and stuff taken. And I mean, I don't really remember the explanation, because what happened was when she was explaining it, she mentioned that I needed to get on birth control pills for a few weeks to thin this or that out to be able to get a better look at things. And like I said, I just shut down. My husband was at the appointment too, and he knew right away, like, I was not going to do that. So all these tests done, I have decided that it is the end of the road for my journey with the fertility specialist. I do not care to find out that just that little dip through going on birth control pills, and I just don't want that. It seemed counterintuitive to me. We had asked, you know, is there something else we could do? And yes, like, I guess you don't have to be on the pill, but it makes it harder to see what it really is, all this sort of stuff. So I just got my hormones checked. All of them checked out except for the one with the egg reserve. And also, I'm trying to get pregnant. Why would I want to go on the pill? It didn't make sense to me. And I guess I just want to reiterate to you, if something doesn't make sense to you, if you don't agree with the decision, you don't have to stay with that doctor. You can go with another doctor. It's fine. You're the customer, you're paying, so you get to make that decision. And so I decided I was not going to do that based on the information she gave me. She sounded confident enough that it was a uterine fibroid, so I'm kind of just going with that. And that was really her job with me coming to see her, was she was trying to find a problem. Whether that was causing the miscarriages, I don't know. But at least I have that idea now, and I can do my own research. I mean, apparently there's, people out there that have been able to naturally decrease their fibroids and have babies with the fibroids. So like I said, could it affect the miscarriage? Yes. Could I still carry? I believe I can. But, to each their own. Everybody has to make their own decisions. That's just kind of what I have decided through that. And I did ask her, like, let's say it is a fibroid. What do you do about a fibroid? And she had told me, well, the only way is, through surgery, which I have never had surgery before in my life. So it is definitely a nerve-wracking thing. But again, I've got low egg reserves. I am older. And if I have to schedule this surgery as well, how far back is that going to put me in trying to get pregnant? You know, is it going to be another year before I can even start trying again? Can I afford that? So you have to remember, like, there are so many different things going on that is going to affect your decision. If that's the route that you took and you feel good about that, empowered by that decision, then that's great. But again, like, each situation is different. And for me and all the variables and my lifestyle and my financial situation, I didn't feel like it was worth it for me to go down that path. You know, again, this has just been like an emotional roller coaster. Having to go into these appointments and being reminded that you have these issues is no fun. And then just, you know, financially, it can be really tough. You know, I've even thought about, you know, adoption and all that, but it's like, it's insane how expensive that is. So, but I do want to give a little shout out to Christian Healthcare Ministries. That is the health insurance that me and my family have been on for quite a few years now, and I do not think we will be looking back to our old ways of insurance. It got way too expensive for us, and to be honest, I don't know if they would really cover any of the more like holistic interventions that are important for me to try. So with, you know, a regular insurance company, they pretty much dictate the different procedures and tests and stuff that you can do, you know? I mean, how often do we go, oh, that's not uncovered by insurance? Like, I don't want to touch that. Whereas Christian Healthcare Ministries, you know, I can make my decisions, and a lot of that stuff is covered. So through all of this fertility testing, they have covered 100% of it. There's 3 different levels. There's bronze, silver, and gold. I chose the gold package when I decided that we wanted to start trying again, because their maternity coverage is amazing. They cover midwives, which is, I think with my daughter, they covered maybe half. They cover all of it if I go through a midwife again. But yeah, their maternity coverage is great, and that's why I originally started going with them. And through all of this fertility stuff, they have reimbursed me as well. And that's really the kicker. When you have these procedures done, you have to self-pay, and sometimes you ask for discounts, but you have to pay up front, and then Christian Healthcare Ministries will then reimburse you a couple months later. But if you've got one of those credit cards with the reward points, you can build up some points if you like to travel, or, you know, whatever it is you want to do with those points. Another thing that I really like about it is I am considered a unit, so I need to pay for myself, I need to pay for my husband, and my daughter is a unit. So we're paying for, you know, 3 different packages. Now for each child after that, all your children combined are considered 1 unit. So I'm already paying so much for my daughter. If I have another child, it's that same amount. If I have another child, it's the same amount. They're just considered 1 unit. Your children are 1 unit, which is amazing if you have a big family. So again, a huge shout out to Christian Healthcare Ministries. And I do have a referral link in the description below. If it's something that you and your family are looking into, you know, trying to find better costs for your insurance, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And I do get a little kickback. It would just kind of help with our bills. And you have the opportunity too, if that's what you decide to do. you have the opportunity as well to get referrals too and get money taken off of your bill, which is pretty awesome. This is hopefully, like I said, I think this is the end of the road for me as far as any more fertility testing and seeing specialists or whatever. So this is the last video all about that. I don't know what the future holds for me. I just think that I am, I don't know. I am still hopeful, but I guess if it ever happens again where I do get pregnant, I can't say how I'm going to do with it. I think when you deal with miscarriages, multiple miscarriages, you get pregnant, there's this you don't want to be emotionally attached to the pregnancy right away in case something happens, which is sad. But it's the reality of dealing with this. So if you have watched this far, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And I did this video because I did have people reach out to me and ask how is everything going? So I just thought, you know what, I'll do, I shouldn't say quick, that's definitely rambled on with this video, but hopefully this is the end of the chapter of that and we can move forward. And I just pray that I am like other women who have shared their journey, that they will share their pregnancy announcement, months from now, whatever. I don't know what the future holds, but again, I am hopeful and I'm so glad you're here. If you are new, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. I don't normally talk about fertility, but most of the time I just kind of share with you my homemaking journey on a budget because we are a single income family. So if that's something that resonates with you, I'd love for you to join my little YouTube community. And if you haven't already, make sure you like this video. Those small things just help YouTube know that you like this content and it gets these helpful videos out to more women who need it. So for that, I would be very appreciative. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.